Gucci thought he had everything under control, but Shi Ming was always one step ahead, and now, Lin An was finally making his move. One party. 3 players. And countless secrets waiting to surface. The harder Gucci tries to rewrite the story, the more unpredictable everything becomes. So who is really setting the trap? Shi Ming sat quietly, observing everything. His sharp eyes kept moving between Gucci and Lin An. By coincidence, Gucci and Lin An both looked toward Shi Ming at the same time, making the atmosphere suddenly feel full of hidden meaning. Shi Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. He had already realized that Gucci did not seem to like Lin An either. In Shi Ming's eyes, Gucci was exactly the kind of ally he had been looking for. As night fell, Mr. Gu asked Lin An to stay at the house for the night, yet Lin An's eyes kept drifting toward Shi Ming. Gucci immediately teased him. "You have been looking at Shi Ming all night. Don't tell me you like him." Lin An was caught off guard and reacted so strongly that Gucci became even more suspicious. Lin An quickly explained that Shi Ming was someone his father had brought into the family, while Gucci simply laughed and said he was only joking. But after Gucci left, there was still only one name on Lin An's mind: Shi Ming. The next morning, Gucci sat at the breakfast table looking exhausted after barely getting any sleep. He had expected some dramatic family showdown the night before, but in the end, nothing happened. Just as he was feeling disappointed, Gucci suddenly froze when something lightly brushed against his leg under the table. Gucci blushed and glanced at Shi Ming, immediately wondering if the man was deliberately teasing him. Shi Ming offered no explanation. He simply stood up and asked Mr. Gu if he could go to the garden for a moment. Gucci instantly understood the signal and followed him, but the moment they met, he demanded to know why Shi Ming had called him out there. Shi Ming calmly asked Gucci to get the guest list for Mr. Gu's birthday party. Gucci immediately found it strange because Lin An had always been responsible for things like this. What Gucci did not know was that Lin An was secretly hiding behind a tree, listening to their entire conversation. Shi Ming also noticed that someone was watching them, but he had no intention of avoiding it. He stepped closer to Gucci, causing the young master to instinctively step backward. Shi Ming deliberately teased him, saying that if Gucci really wanted to drive him out of the Ju family, then at the very least, he should help him find someone reliable to lean on for the future. The distance between them made Gucci blush. He quickly pushed Shi Ming away and told him to speak properly. Gucci turned and walked away, annoyed and confused about why this man kept making his heart race. But the moment Gucci left, the smile disappeared from Shi Ming's face, and his eyes instantly turned cold. Shi Ming had realized that Gucci had his own intentions toward him. While Lin An was also secretly watching everything, he had no intention of exposing either of them yet. After all, the most dangerous pieces were often best kept on the board until the very end. Shi Ming watched Gucci walk away and smiled faintly, as if he had just discovered an interesting variable, but what he did not know was that Gucci himself might be the one person capable of turning his entire plan upside down. Gucci's contact brought him the guest list and hotel room arrangements for Mr. Gu's birthday party. Satisfied with his work as an inside informant, Gucci praised him for getting better at the job and immediately checked every detail on the list. When he noticed that Shi Ming's room 1806 was directly across from Lin An's room 1809, Gucci instantly sensed that something was wrong. He remembered the original story, where Lin An once used being drunk as an excuse to enter Shi Ming's room by mistake, nearly causing everything to spiral out of control. Even worse, Lin An later came up with an absurd excuse. The room number had supposedly been mixed up because one of the digits had fallen off. Gucci looked over the room layout and could not help laughing. His own room was the farthest away from the other two, but Gucci could not afford to let his guard down. Even the smallest change could cause events from the original story to happen much earlier. Just then, another name appeared on the list: Feng Jin, Gucci's cousin, and another dangerous figure from the original story. Gucci immediately decided to bring in extra people for security, and even called his close friends, just in case the birthday party turned into complete chaos. Seeing the names Shi Ming, Lin An, and Feng Jin together, Gucci could not help looking forward to a real confrontation. Meanwhile, Shi Ming calmly sat there peeling lotus seeds as if he had no interest in the conflict that was about to unfold. Gucci handed the documents to Shi Ming and asked about Mr. Gu's situation. He learned that his father was still personally handling the company's most important decisions. Shi Ming then handed the peeled lotus seeds to Gucci, saying that the housekeeper had told him Gucci liked them. Gucci was stunned. He could not understand why Shi Ming had suddenly started trying to win him over, but the more Gucci looked at Shi Ming, the stranger it felt. This man was nothing like the future step-parent his friends had teased him about, especially with his confident presence and long legs. Shi Ming was becoming increasingly distracting to Gucci. Shi Ming quickly noticed Gucci staring and calmly asked, "Young Master Gu, you have been looking at me for quite a while. Is there something you want to say?" Gucci immediately looked away and pretended to change the subject to their plan against Lin An. Shi Ming did not reveal the plan just yet. Instead, he suddenly asked Gucci to help him with something first. With a smile, Shi Ming mentioned that people often said he resembled Gucci's late mother, then made a request that completely caught Gucci off guard. Shi Ming wanted Gucci to choose an outfit for him that matched his mother's style for the upcoming birthday party. Gucci immediately realized this was not simply about choosing clothes. Shi Ming seemed to be deliberately stepping deeper into the world of the Guyu family, and if Shi Ming truly intended to appear before all the key players from the original story, then the upcoming birthday party might be where every hidden secret finally begins to surface. Gucci immediately objected when Shi Ming suggested wearing an outfit similar to his mother's, because he knew there was someone extremely dangerous on the guest list. Shi Ming remained calm and even turned the question back on him. Was the person who hated that keepsake also on the guest list? Gucci immediately fell silent. The name Feng Jin reminded him of a future he desperately wanted to avoid. Feng Jin was Gucci's youngest uncle and his mother's paternal half-brother. In the original story, Feng Jin was both drawn to Shi Ming and filled with resentment because Shi Ming's face reminded him of his late sister. Even more disturbing, Feng Jin once treated Shi Ming as a substitute for his sister. Remembering the darker events from the original story, Gucci only wanted to stop everything before it was too late, but Shi Ming looked at Gucci's tense expression and laughed, as if he had already realized that Gucci was hiding something. The harder Gucci tried to deny it, the more clearly his worried expression gave him away. In the end, he could not reveal anything about the future. He could only stand up and find a way to change the subject. And just then, Gucci stepped on a lotus seed and suddenly lost his balance. He stumbled straight toward Shi Ming before either of them could react. In the next moment, the distance between them disappeared, leaving both of them completely stunned. But just as the scene unfolded, Lin An appeared, and his expression immediately changed. Lin An looked at the two of them and coldly asked what they were doing. Before Gucci could explain, Shi Ming pulled him closer and whispered something in his ear that caught him completely off guard. It turned out that Shi Ming wanted to use the opportunity to deliberately provoke Lin An. Gucci immediately understood. He quickly straightened his clothes and pretended that nothing had happened. When Lin An continued questioning him, Gucci deliberately responded with an even more provocative attitude. Shi Ming calmly stood up as well, showing no sign of embarrassment. Lin An sternly reminded Gucci to keep his distance, since Shi Ming was, after all, their future step-parent, but Gucci refused to back down. Instead, he deliberately provoked Lin An one more time. In Gucci's eyes, the more unsettled Lin An became, the better his chances of carrying out the plan. But what Gucci did not know was that Lin An might not be the only one being pulled into this game. Lin An immediately warned Gucci to keep his distance, since Shi Ming had now become the future step-parent of them both. Gucci paused, but instead of backing away, he unexpectedly stepped closer to Shi Ming. He deliberately placed a light kiss on Shi Ming's cheek, leaving both of them completely stunned. Shi Ming clearly had not expected Gucci to actually do it. Gucci immediately turned toward Lin An and provoked him, acting as if nothing important had happened. In Gucci's eyes, Shi Ming was simply a piece on the board he could use to make Lin An lose his composure, but Gucci's attitude had finally crossed Lin An's limit. Lin An remembered the rumors circulating around the Gu group. Gucci would ultimately be the true heir, while Lin An would always remain an outsider. Those words made it even harder for Lin An to tolerate Gucci's constant provocations. Meanwhile, Shi Ming quietly watched, seemingly curious to see how far the two brothers would take their rivalry. Gucci continued provoking Lin An, deliberately making himself look as arrogant as possible in his eyes. He even referred to Shi Ming as a toy, causing the atmosphere to instantly turn cold. Shi Ming did not argue, but his expression subtly changed. Lin An stared at the two of them, barely able to hide his anger. Gucci then pulled Shi Ming away, deliberately saying that they still had unfinished business. Lin An immediately stopped them and lost control for the first time. Shi Ming is not your toy. Shi Ming turned toward Lin An, showing just enough hurt in his expression to make Lin An hesitate. Lin An could only watch as Shi Ming walked away, while Gucci began to realize that his plan had worked. Once they were alone, Gucci laughed. Shi Ming's performance had been almost too convincing. Shi Ming was not about to give him all the credit. After all, the act had made Lin An distance himself from the Gu family on his own. Gucci knew it had all been a carefully planned trap. Yet he still could not stop wondering about the tear Shi Ming had just shed. Shi Ming suddenly stepped closer and turned the question back on him. If that scene had been real, would you have been hurt? Gucci immediately became cautious. This man clearly was not just acting anymore. Shi Ming smiled faintly and reminded him that if everything belonging to the Gu family eventually became Gucci's, then he would be part of it too. And Shi Ming's final question left Gucci completely speechless. Then, young Master Gu, do you want me to stay by your side? Gucci blushed at Shi Ming's teasing, but deep down, he was becoming increasingly cautious. Gucci had never been easily swayed by a handsome man before, but Shi Ming was a dangerous exception. He reminded himself that Shi Ming was the central character of the original story, with countless unpredictable people still targeting him. So Gucci's goal was simple: protect the Gu family and never let anyone control him. Shi Ming deliberately joked that he needed to hold on tightly to his powerful ally, immediately getting on Gucci's nerves. Gucci angrily stepped on his foot, but instead of getting upset, upset, Shi Ming seemed even more amused. Shi Ming suddenly caught Gucci's foot, making him lose his composure instantly. One teasing remark from Shi Ming was enough to make Gucci blush so hard that he could not even look him in the eye. Gucci quickly pulled away, called him shameless, and rushed out of the room. The door slammed shut, while Shi Ming remained there with a knowing smile. But the moment Gucci left, Shi Ming's eyes became sharp and calculating. He realized that Gucci was far more intelligent than he had been led to believe. Unfortunately, Shi Ming did not know the entire storyline of this novel either. That was why cooperating with Gucci remained the safest move he could make. Even after several attempts to test Gucci, the young man kept panicking and running away, making Shi Ming suspect that he was truly different from the original character. More surprisingly, Shi Ming was gradually becoming curious about a character who had originally existed only on the sidelines of the story. He remembered the mediocre novel he had once read, where the name Shi Ming also appeared. A tragic fate had already been written for him. But Shi Ming was determined not to let it happen again. 3 years ago, he had been a financial PhD. Yet after transmigrating, he somehow became someone else's future step-parent. If his old rivals knew about this, they would probably laugh themselves breathless. But the joke ended there. Shi Ming had already made up his mind. Anyone who tried to turn him into prey would find their entire plan falling apart by his own hand. Meanwhile, Gucci rushed to a bar and told his best friend everything that had happened. His friend was shocked and immediately warned him that Shi Ming might be setting an extremely elaborate trap, but Gucci simply laughed. He still believed he had the biggest advantage of all. He knew the script of this world. Gucci soon realized that Shi Ming might be testing both Lin An and himself at the same time. If that was true, then Gucci's plan became even clearer. Remove both of them from the Gu family before things went completely out of control. Gucci left the bar and decided to head home early since Guzong was away on a business trip. At the same time, Lin An received word that Guzong had left and knew Gucci would not be coming home early either. Lin An's expression immediately changed as he looked toward the house, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. He slowly walked inside, carrying a camera and a plan that no one knew about. Inside the dark room, Shi Ming had no idea that his every move was being watched. The recording light turned on, and for the first time, Shi Ming realized that he might have become the target of another hidden scheme. The door slowly closed, the camera pointed directly at Shi Ming, and Lin An's voice echoed through the room. Shi Ming, Lin An calmly placed the camera down, completely unaware that Gucci had already returned. Inside the room, Lin An quietly watched Shi Ming lying on the bed, preparing to carry out his plan. But just then, Gucci's voice suddenly came from outside the door. "What are you doing?" Lin An turned around in surprise, while Gucci pretended to be drunk and claimed that he could not open his own room. Lin An quickly covered up what he had been doing, believing that Gucci would not remember anything the next morning. He helped Gucci back to his room and immediately left, taking the camera with him. But the moment the door closed, Shi Ming opened his eyes. He noticed the discarded cloth and immediately realized that it had been treated with a sedative. Shi Ming remembered when Gucci suddenly appeared and realized there had been something suspicious about his drunken act. Even Gucci's very first words had not sounded like something a truly drunk person would say. Shi Ming quickly understood that Gucci might have deliberately shown up at exactly the right moment to ruin Lin An's plan. He lay back down, his expression turning colder as he imagined what Lin An had intended to do next. For the first time, Shi Ming began to wonder, had Gucci accidentally saved him, or had he already seen through everything? Meanwhile, Gucci was lying on his own bed, quietly listening for any movement outside. He breathed a sigh of relief when he realized Lin An had finally left without taking things any further. Yet the more Gucci thought about what had just happened, the more uneasy he became. He looked toward Shi Ming's room and immediately noticed something strange. Lin An had just been inside. Gucci hesitated. If those two wanted to deal with each other, he could simply stay out of it, but leaving Shi Ming alone also meant Lin An's plan might succeed. In the end, Gucci's instinct to step in when something felt wrong got the better of him, and he quietly went to check. He pressed his ear against the door, trying to hear what was happening inside. Just then, the door suddenly opened, leaving Gucci completely frozen. Shi Ming appeared perfectly fine, and Gucci immediately realized that he had just put himself in an awkward position. He quickly pretended that he had only happened to be walking by, but his panicked expression gave everything away. Shi Ming looked at Gucci and stepped closer with a knowing smile. "Looks like young Master Gu is sober now." Then he quietly asked a question that left Gucci speechless. "Standing outside my room in the middle of the night. What exactly were you planning to do?" "Young Master Gu." Gucci immediately stepped back and nervously denied that he was dating Shi Ming, but the more he explained, the more suspicious he sounded. Just then, he slipped and suddenly lost his balance. Shi Ming quickly reached out and caught Gucci, helping him regain his footing. The distance between them suddenly became so close that Gucci completely froze. Shi Ming simply curled his lips into a faint smile and teased him calmly. "Young Master Gu, why are you in such a hurry?" From that moment on, Gucci could not sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, Gucci sat at the breakfast table looking exhausted, unable to stop thinking about what had happened the night before. Meanwhile, Shi Ming calmly prepared breakfast as if nothing had happened. The more Gucci watched him, the more Shi Ming reminded him of a perfect homemaker. Gucci immediately scolded himself for letting his imagination run wild. Just as Gucci was lost in his thoughts, a message suddenly arrived on his phone. He had to take Shi Ming shopping for an outfit for the upcoming birthday celebration. Gucci wanted to refuse immediately, but Shi Ming directly asked when they could go. With no choice, Gucci reluctantly agreed, secretly complaining that he was only creating more trouble for himself. But the shopping trip quickly turned into another unexpected trap. At the store, Gucci was waiting in the lounge when an employee approached him and said that Shi Ming wanted him to come into the fitting room. Gucci found it strange, but then reminded himself that Shi Ming was the officially recognized future partner of the Giyu family, so having a male employee assist him might be inconvenient. So Gucci reluctantly entered the fitting room and called out that he had arrived. But the moment he looked up, Gucci suddenly froze at what he saw. Shi Ming was changing into his new outfit. Gucci immediately turned away, his face turning bright red. He tried to stay calm, but his eyes kept avoiding Shi Ming. Shi Ming seemed to notice his reaction, and simply stood there with a knowing smile. Gucci had originally planned to help Shi Ming choose an outfit. But now, he was the one losing his composure first. Is Shi Ming really helping Gucci? Or is he secretly using him? What do you think Shi Ming's true intentions are? Share your theory in the comments. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapter.